Let's do a short video to close this shizbiz up. I'm not going to do that. God, I hesitate to even call it a final boss. What random hackneyed nonsense that was. I mean, I can kind of understand if you don't want Mother Brain to be the final boss of a Metroid game, you know, if you want to do something that's different. But a Robo Ridley knockoff? That's just flippin' random is what that is. That's not, like, thematically appropriate. It wasn't, like, supremely difficult. It didn't have multiple forms. There was nothing climactic about that boss fight. It had no rightful reason to be there. So, that boss fight aside, if you were to take the section of this game that starts with Samus losing her power armor and having to infiltrate this ship in stealth mode, if you just took that by itself, without anything that had come before it in this game, ba-boom. If you just took that by itself, I can kind of see an argument for this being fun. Honestly, it was. I never went over here, did I? Oh, no. Fat lot of good that does me now. Oh, ha ha ha. The fat lot of good that even matters now. I can kind of see it being fun. I really can. Because, how the hell am I supposed to get those? I don't even care. I could probably grab on the edge of the brick, right? Yep, there we are. This doesn't matter. I'm not going to use this in combat, almost certainly. But, this section, this stealth section, where you have to think and evade and be careful, where you have to, you know, look first and act second, very unusual for a Metroid game. But it was tight and technical and interesting and challenging and scary and emotionally engaging and all those good things that I talk about. It was good. Just completely on its own right. It was fun. Especially considering beating a pseudo-boss in the form of that Chozo security system and then getting your, like, ultimate powered armor. Very cathartic when you get to run around and murder all the guys who are just terrorizing you for the last hour or so of gameplay. Good. Awesome. Fun. It was pretty well designed by itself. And it absolutely should not have been in this game. No ifs, ands, or buts. It didn't belong in this game. It shouldn't have been here. Imagine... Oh, can I not leave? Whatever. You don't bother me anymore. There we go. Imagine a game that was based around that form of stealth and evadance and careful, calculated movement. Imagine that being its own entire game. Now that's where it starts to sound interesting, rather than just completely shoehorned in at the end of a title that didn't have any degree of the same activity in it. Yeah, this is the part where people said I could break out. Yeah, just be gone with you. And I have one power bomb left. How nice. There we go. Just like in Super Metroid. Honestly, I should have gotten that before. Imagine a game that started out exactly the same way that this segment did. Where you're like, oh, I'm stripped of my ship and my suit. I have nothing but this emergency pistol, and even it can't hurt anybody. It can only stun people, and even then only at a full charge. This slid me into a canyon, and I don't see the way out. Oh, damn it, I'm out of power bombs. I gotta go get some. Imagine that. Imagine a game that was not the traditional Metroid game at all. But, there's a save point right back there. I can use that. Shoot, I don't want to make you watch me do this. Oh, there's a save point right over here. And I'm not done speaking yet, so we'll just use this time to get it out of the way. Yeah, imagine a game that was more of that. Just more of what we saw at the beginning here. And imagine you start out just like this section started out. You get upgrades. Of course, it's not the traditional form of Metroid upgrades because, you know, you don't have your suit. So instead of getting energy tanks, maybe you get a portable shield module. You know, instead of getting arm cannon upgrades, you get a better pistol or upgrades to your pistol. And the pistol, you know, has better charge ability. Maybe it starts being able to do damage with a charge. Maybe it gains the whip power that you see Zero Suit Samus use in Smash. Also taking a cue from Smash, maybe another upgrade you get is those rocket heels that Samus uses to double jump and fly all over the place. The ideas basically define themselves. This is a game that almost makes itself, really. And no, it wouldn't be the traditional Metroid game. Not everything needs to stay traditional within its genre or even within its series. Instead, it would be something more like a 2D platformer Metal Gear Solid. And I'm talking only about the gameplay segments of Metal Gear Solid, not the, you know, fucking ridiculous endless cutscenes where you hear David Hayter talk about Metal Gear, nanomachines, liquid, kernel. Yeah, just, you know, not the cutscenes, but the gameplay. The, you know, the you doing things, the shit that actually matters. It would be more like that. And throughout the game, maybe the stealth dynamics would become different. Speaking of different, yeah, I've not been here before. The stealth dynamics would become different. You may not need to evade people as much, but you still couldn't go in full-on balls-to-the-wall combat like you could before. What is the point of all this area? I don't know what's going on here. I'm just going through corridors out of momentum. I don't know why I'm even here. But, this, you could have a whole game, is my point. You could have a whole game based around the concept that was shoehorned in completely irrelevantly and stupidly at the end of this game. It was fun. It just didn't belong here. I'm highly curious as to what the motivation was. Why Nintendo, or whichever subgroup of Nintendo made this title, thought it would be necessary to do this. I can see they've tried their balls off to get it to add continuity with the Prime games, and that's not a bad thing. There's lots of good stylization in the Prime games. What was the point of that? There's no, like, what you're seeing right here, there is no point to any of this. There's no point to me being here whatsoever. I already have access to the final boss. I don't know why I would ever want to come back here. Yeah. Oh, and this probably means the power bomb door that was up there just leads me back to the area I already came from. Oh man, this is so retarded. And I don't know why I'd even want to... I know there was a couple of areas that I'd be able to access with the gravity suit down below, but I don't know why I'd want to. I mean, only completely bug-nutty completionists people are going to care about doing these things, because you have access to the final boss. The narrative of the game is over. It's not even a good final boss, and now I'm back in this nonsense area. Wow, this is some of the stupidest shit I have ever seen in my life. Alternatively, if you felt like you absolutely had to have that kind of a stealth, underpowered section in this game, really, I can't go forward now because I've used up all my power bombs. That's fantastic. I mean, why would I even want to? I've already explored this whole frickin' area. I'm sure that I can see there's an item down there up on the mini-map, but who cares? So, like, putting all of this stuff that you don't need, like, sectioned up right at the end. Oh, and I can see how I'd get in here now with its morphing ball, yeah, whatever. It's irrelevant. You have no motivation for the vast majority of players to ever want to come here. Oh, wow. This was shaping up to be a game I liked so much until this last segment happened. So anyway, I was going to say an alternative. Say what if you didn't want... If you had to have this section in the game and you couldn't make, you know, stealth Samus into its own game. What if that had to be a thing? Well, instead of, like, pile driving it all towards the end where it didn't matter, you could... Oh, I don't have a ship out here anymore, do I? That's right, my ship got shot down. Yeah, so instead of, like, putting it all at the end where it doesn't matter, you could have it right in the middle of the game. Have a section where you're forced to use stealth, and then at the end you have the cathartic feeling of gaining all your superpowers right at the conclude, like, I'd say maybe 60% of the way through the game, and you get to spend the remaining, say, 30 to 40% of the game with the superpowers. But in this game, it's just, it gives you your superpowers, and then it fucking ends! That's beyond unacceptable. That's so uncool. Why would anybody like that? This game has pacing problems that are so serious that I don't even know what to say. Well, I guess since I'm here, I owe it to myself to at least briefly poke my nose down into the caves of Brinstar and Norfair and see if I can figure out, you know, if there's anything interesting with this. There's probably not, but I'm here, so... So I already saw the power bomb doors up there in Criteria. Completely useless and uninteresting. Just takes me back to where I've already gone. Wow, how did such a great game. It was building up to be such a great game. How did it go so bad so fast? In a heartbeat, this game went from being really good to being a fractured, nonsensical mess. And then another thing that makes me think that this game should have, like the Zero Suit section at the end should have been its own game. Like, that little snippet right at the end after the credits where you get to see Samus holding hands with two of her adopted Chozo parents, that wasn't built up earlier in the game. We only got to see that right at the very, very end, right before Samus encountered the Chozo security system. So we basically didn't get that build-up. So there was like no story payoff there to say, oh, Samus is so precious with her Chozo parents. And we got more of that in Metroid Prime. With I mean, that's not an excuse. Other games in the series can't necessarily do stuff if it's not like a direct sequel and have it be paid off here. Why am I trapped here now? What's going on? Wow. Yeah, this game went from being amazing to being a fragmented mess. And, I heard the argument, in talking about this privately with a few people. Well, UD, I mean, yeah, sure, they wanted to combine it with the Metroid Prime continuity, but they had to stay true to the original. They had to do everything they could to stay true to the original. That's why they shoehorned all this stuff with like your gravity suit and your space jump and your plasma beam and things that you didn't get in the original NES game. They shoehorned it all in at the end here because they had to, because no, I'm sorry. There's all kinds of shit in the first, 85% of this game that had no connection and didn't appear in the original NES game at all. The definition of a remake is you are remaking something. You don't get to say that you have to maintain continuity with the original. That's like, with the J.J. Abrams Star Trek reboots, and I'm sure everybody here has probably seen the first of those that aired back in, not aired, but was, screened back in 2009. That's like saying that, oh, they absolutely had to have that go back in time and alternate universe split bullshit, otherwise it wouldn't have made any sense with the original continuity. It doesn't, you don't even have to have the affectation of making sense with the original continuity. You're remaking something. You don't have to pretend that it's the same anymore. That was just a complete waste of writerly time, and it was an insult of the audience's intelligence, and honestly, so is this game, if indeed that's what Nintendo intended by putting that weird section up at the end, just to build continuity with the Metroid Prime games. There's nothing more here, is there? I've looked at 2, maybe 3 secrets that I wouldn't have had access to otherwise, but I don't want to. I'm not a completionist. I don't care to go, scouring through all these levels to find the last fucking power bomb. It's nonsense. You should have gotten it halfway through, or it shouldn't have been in a different game. I guess I'm done. Because I'm like really upset now. Because this bad decision of how to make this game has ruined a otherwise wonderful thing. I was having so much fun with this game. But I don't think I'll ever play it again just because of how stupid this final decision was. Oh well. Can't have everything in life, right? Well, in the bowels of Norfair, I guess that's as good a place as any to end this, because I don't care to go do that irrelevant Robo-Ridley boss again. This has been Usually Dead in a short video, being pissed off at something really good being completely wrecked right in front of my eyes. This has been Metroid Zero Mission. I didn't want to, but maybe I will do Fusion next. I don't really have any better prospects at the time. We'll see. Thanks for watching as always, dudes. Thanks for putting up with my griping. And I look forward to doing this again, hopefully in a game that I can honestly not come up with any, experience-destroying criticisms of. But we might be asking too much there.